Anyway, my dear ones, it is the first Sunday of March, and we are marching into it, are we not? And we know that in this month there are other great good things to celebrate, always great good things to celebrate. So what are we celebrating this month? Well, we're continuing to celebrate the season for nonviolence and participate in all of that, which is actually a wonderful theme that moves alongside of the theme that our organization has set us for this month, and that is for us to have a deeper sense and awareness of the diversity in all of life and living, and to appreciate that and to celebrate that and to respect that. And as well as that, it's Women's History Month, so that has to be exciting. I'm sure we'll be hearing all kinds of great good things there. And of course, as we move into March, we're getting ready for March Madness, and some of us are very happy about that too, those of us who love basketball. And so we're asking ourselves now, well, where am I in all of this? Does it really matter what's going on? Oh, and by the way, next week I'll be seeing you at 10 o'clock because of the clock. It'll be 10 o'clock this week's time. And so we mustn't forget to change our clocks next week. It's lovely because the days are getting longer. That's what March does for us too. And the nights will be getting shorter. And some of us like that very much, and others prefer, the night owls prefer the night, the shadows of the night. So we're looking at today all of this sense and sensibility of unity and diversity and life in its diverse ways under the banner today of love and integrity. And I was sharing this morning with the folk who are here at the 9 o'clock that when I set out to think about this subject during the week, a whole different theme was coming to me, and I was going along the lines of something entirely different. And it was along the lines of, human integrity and how we need to be with each other and how we need to be able to relate to each other in such a way that we maintain everybody's dignity, we guard everybody's dignity, and so on. And then went into my room last night, and lo and behold, the whole thing became something new and different. And what then, the theme expanded into a much bigger theme than that. It expanded into understanding love and law, and within love and law is always integrity. It's always there. And in that, to understand that integrity that you and I are to look at this month has to do with all of life, the web of life, the whole of life, and to get maybe an understanding of it that we haven't had before. Because there are some biblical stories out there that still cause some of us to believe that we as human beings have dominance, rule the world, rule the earth, and that the earth is there to serve our needs, and that we can harness it any way we want, and we talk about conquering the world, conquering this and conquering that. And it's so not that at all, because there are two creation stories in the Christian, the Judeo-Christian scriptures, and the second one really makes it very, very clear that the Garden of Eden was there for Adam and Eve to enjoy, but to take care of, to make sure that it was fruitful and multiplied its good. And as such, they had to tend to it, take care of it, and assist its evolutionary process, its flourishing and its thriving. And in return, it would take care of their needs too. So it was a partnership, it was a kinship, it was a companionship, you see, in the beginning. And in the beginning, in the story, as the story tells us, everything was harmonious. Everything was integrity, everything was harmonious. And Spirit looked upon it and said, it's good, it's very good, it's good, it's very good. So this is the relationship that we're supposed to be looking at now to see where you and I are in all of this. And what kind of relationship we're having with our world now. So what? So that we can support the web of life and not destroy it in any way, through the way we don't understand our relationship with Mother Nature and planet Earth, the world that we've chosen to be in and materialize in and to fulfill our purpose in. So, oh my goodness, the whole thing is like, it's boggling, because when you see yourself as a partner, as a companion, as in kinship with this earth, the whole thing changes, and you and I then understand we're in relationship with it, and a relationship always has to be supported, has to be nurtured, and has to be nourished. And so, my dear ones, as we look out into the world and we see how we are with planet Earth and Mother Nature and so on, I think there's a lot of work for us there to do. There's much to do to mend and fix and heal that relationship, because our relationship with the planet I don't think would get us high marks at all, not at all. And so I don't go along with the prophets of doom at all, because I know that Earth is always going to be Earth, and its integrity will remain, because the integrity within the cosmos is unalterable. That is unalterable, and there's nothing you and I and anything or anyone else can do to upset that balance. It's unalterable. However, in our experience of being here on this plane, you and I can make it a fantastic experience or not, as the case may be, as a collective. But the biggest lesson of all is this one. We cannot do without Mother Earth. It's essential to us. But Mother Earth can do without us. And let's not forget that. Let's not forget, she has in the past and she can again. And so we're here then to be in cooperation, to be in relationship, be in partnership, in kinship with this world of ours. And I can tell you, I came up really lacking when I examined myself on this, because there's much more I could do to assist and support the sustaining environment and the ecology and so on of this planet Earth. Although I thought I was doing some, and I am doing some, but it's not enough. I could do more. And isn't it interesting to know, my dear ones, that in the last century, in the last quarter of the last century, the 20th century, we lost 20 living species forever. 20% of the living species we lost in the last quarter of the last century. And that's growing, and that's growing, and that's growing. And in the year, it was the last one I looked at was 2013, we were creating something like 253 million tons of waste, garbage, at that time, and that's growing, and that's growing. And so we hear the scientists tell us, last one I heard was, oh, you got 12 years to get your act together, and if you don't get your act together in 12 years, God help the children that's going to be growing up from there on in, because they'll be living in a toxic world, and it's not going to be the healthiest world to live in. Now, that's one prediction. And they say there's time, though. But the time is now. You got 12 years to get this right. Turn this around. 12 years. And so, again, all you and I can do about that is not go, oh my gosh, it's too overwhelming, but do what we can in the corner where we are. Where we are, we can do what we can, and all of us, I think, could do more. All of us could do a little more. And if we all do a little more, it would be wonderful. Now, the whole of the world only recycles 34% of trash. 34%. But isn't it interesting to note that countries like Austria and Germany are doing 63% and 62% of that recycling and taking care of Mother Earth in that way, whereas we here in America, there's only 8% of us who recycle. 8% of us who recycle, according to the statistics. Now, statistics can be wrong, but those were the statistics. You can Google them and look them up yourself. But that's what I discovered, 8% of us. Well, that's not anything like enough. Not anything like enough. And of course, it was shown that most of the first world people are consuming most of the earth's, consuming most of all of the good in the world. And that's a huge percent that we consume alone, and especially us here in America. So we have plenty that we can do about this. Now, I don't know why we're not really into this as a big cause. Maybe we're not hearing it enough, or maybe not enough people are making it a big deal enough, or whatever. But it is a big deal. And now you and I have the opportunity to do something about it other than complain. And I know myself, I got the straws and everything else that you're supposed to, that's why with the little, brush that cleans the straw and all of that. And I forget them sometimes. And then they put the straws on the table and I use them. Do you know what I mean? I don't have to. I can just drink out of the glass, but it's just a habit. But there are so many ways that you and I can improve and help this wonderful planet Earth. As Jean Goodall says, never underestimate the power of one person with one trash bag going to the recycling bin. Never underestimate the power of that, because if we were all doing it, it would make the difference. So I just know that we don't have to see this world of ours become any more toxic than it is already. I believe we can all do something about it. And it's not going to be this group or that group, it's the other. It's going to be every one of us, one person at a time, going to do something about this and getting mindful about it. We live in a throwaway society, and here's the thing. There's no such thing as throwing away something. It lands somewhere. It goes somewhere. You can't throw away anything. It's impossible. So you and I are called this week to be very much mindful of the web of life and how interconnected we are. Because integrity means that. It means understanding the beingness of the whole. And the whole is undivided. And the whole is that wherein there is interconnectedness, interpersonalness when it comes to us. And we're inclined to be very hierarchical in structures in the way we see them. When we talk about atomic life, well, that's the basic life forms, rocks and stones and things like that. And then there's the simpler life, there's the vegetable life and so on and so forth, animal life and that. And then there's the human life. And then there's cosmic life. And we see that kind of as a hierarchical thing. It's not. Every single part and particle of life and living is equally important, and all has a part to play in the ecosystem and on this plane, on this planet. Everything is interrelated with everything else, and every single creature, every single plant, every single thing has a purpose, has a function, is here for some reason or another. And the fact that we've lost 20 amazing species already and are still losing is enough to wake us up. Because remember, eventually it gets to us. Eventually it gets to us. So what can you do? What can I do to raise the consciousness and the awareness that this world is ours to take care of? Mother Earth is ours to take care of. And that we all have a huge part to play in it. And how is that going to show up? By means of you and by means of me. And it's all about you and it's all about me. God so loved the world that God gave the world you to what? To take care of it, to enjoy it, to celebrate it, but to tend it, to nurture it, to improve it. Yes. Be fruitful and multiply. Be fruitful and multiply. It doesn't mean procreation. It's part of the evolutionary process, but that's not what the scripture story is telling us. And it's a story, and it's a very sophisticated story told by a people way back then that are endeavoring to understand the relationship of mankind with, nature and with the creator of nature. But before we spend too much time just looking at our relationship with each other and our relationship with God up there somewhere or out there, away there somewhere, get so busy kind of trying to find and seek God somewhere or another that we forget the God in everything and the God in everyone. So what this is asking us to do is to be more mindful. And the thing is, when you and I are mindful, we're more careful. When we're more careful, we're more present to neglect or waste or whatever, and we pay attention. And so it's a wonderful thing because it grows us too, as we are helping to grow the good in the world. It grows us because you have to be mindful in order to be all that we're here to be and to fulfill our purpose on this plane. God so loved the world that God sent the world you in form of God's own self, in material form by means of you, to what? Certainly not to impair the web of life, but to safeguard it, to protect it, to make sure that everything is working together, and that we understand the importance of connectivity and interrelatedness. Because I am everything, I am everyone, and everything and everyone is me. What don't I understand about that yet? That's not sufficient for me to be able to be a real partner and real kin to all of nature. Well, nature is calling us now. Nature is saying, come on, need some help here. Because when it gets to the point that we've lost enough species, then our own one is on the block. Now, this is a very uncomfortable subject. It's not exactly a gooey, lovely thing to be thinking about and considering. It's to get us a little bit discomforted. We should be a little discomforted. It's okay to be discomforted at times, so that we can be better than we have been, so that we can be more of our true selves, so that we can meet the needs of this life and living right now. And so it's not all about just human needs, but all life has rights. All life has rights, all of it. And so we can see what's going on in certain areas, where some areas seem to be more important than others. Have you noticed that? Some groups seem to be more important than others. Some areas seem to be more important than others. And it's not true. It's just not so. And we've enough of that now, and we're not going to go there again. And then for this idea of superiority and supremacy of any one group is just such a nonsense in this day and age, and yet that's growing again. We saw what happened in Germany when we saw the white supremacist thing coming to the fore, the Aryan race and all of that. Well, let me tell you, that's raising its head around the world. Not at the moment. You can see little pockets of that breaking through. Well, we'll not have it. We will not have that. It's all the one thing, and life is precious no matter how it shows up, and no matter what shape, make, form, color, class, or creed. It's all the same thing, equal and precious. And it's high time now that we, at least in spiritual communities, understood this and started to become more and more unbiased, more and more aware of our prejudices, and cope with them and work on ourselves until those prejudices are no more. Because that's what it's going to take. And so if we in spiritual communities cannot do it, I mean, come on. What is there, for us to hope for in the wider world out there? And this is your charge. This is my charge. This is our calling. And so where do we begin? Anything. Under our own roofs. Under our own roofs. There was a lady giving a talk on some words that affect our lives and living, and one of them was decide, and one of them was because, and one of them was if, and so on. And these are things that can interfere with us ever really getting anything done. But she was saying, take, for example, the potential in things. We're not really gleaning the potential in things for less ourselves. She said, I stood back and I watched all these people going up to the hot dog stand, and they're all getting 10 cups of ketchup because they're small little cups. So they have about, anywhere between 3 to 10 cups I've seen go away. She says, what they don't understand is if you unfold all those ruffles on one of those cups, it will hold 3 or 4 times more than one cup. Comes a little plate. And you know what? I tested it out. I just happened to have one. And I tested it out. And darn it, if she wasn't right. So you see, now every time I see one of those cups, I'm going to say, well, I can unfold it and so on. I know that some of us don't want to go to the trouble, but we can. So where can you, and where can I know I'm making a difference under my own roof to begin with? Where can I make a difference under my own roof to begin with? And so, and as well as that, nature, how much aware of it am I? How much appreciative am I? When I'm in the vegetable section in the supermarket or the fruit section, when I'm looking at those beautiful grapes and whatever else I'm looking at and those wonderful sweet potatoes, am I aware that these are wonderful things and they're there for me to be nourished and flourish as a result of my interaction with them? Am I grateful? Am I grateful? And I was saying again this morning, some people are so embarrassed when they are asked to bless their food in company out there in the world, or they see some other group doing it. And why is that? Why are we embarrassed to bless our food? I bless this food. It's given to me for my good, my health and my well-being. I bless everybody who's brought it to my table, all those truckers, all of those farmers, all of the roads and the men that built the roads, and maybe women too, and so on, that caused me to... None of us sit down to eat food that's only been prepared by a few people. It takes thousands and thousands and thousands of people to feed us. It really does. But how aware are we? How blessed are we? How blessed are we to know this? And the big blessing is the blessing of awareness. So let's bless and bless and bless and be grateful and be grateful and be grateful. And I'm telling you, the more grateful we are, the more blessing we do, the more appreciative we are, and the more mindful we are, and the more inclined we are not to be wasteful, and to be deliberate about how we recycle and so on and so forth. And also, when we say you can't give away anything, it has to land up somewhere. And this is a big thing that's on my list. Please God, soon I'll get to it. But I have so much in my home that I could release and let go of that somebody else could be enjoying, that could be enjoying. But it's always, where do you begin? It's like, where do I begin? To start on the garage out there, and so on and so forth. But yes, we must do it and can do it. And bit by bit by bit, we can make the difference, and we can mend the web that's already torn. If each and every one of us becomes more mindful, entering into a relationship with Mother Nature, entering into a relationship with the earth, and understanding that the God who created everything, infinite intelligent life who created everything, is infinitely intelligent in this thing, whether it's a little pebble, whether it's a little flower, regardless of what it is the energy of the cosmos, and it requires us to honor its integrity. And let us commit to make March now Earth Month. Let's make it Earth Month, Planet Month, Mother Nature Month, so that we can assist and support life to flourish and to thrive, so that our children and their children and their children don't have a mess to contend with down the road. The Native Americans say, 7 generations down you have to think. 7 generations down you have to think when you're dealing with the earth. And I love the way they always, in their way of living, blessed everything. Killed an animal, they first blessed the animal. And then they thanked the animal. And then they used every part of the animal to help sustain life and living. And so maybe we could be a little bit more mindful in that and not do everything so mindlessly on automatic and hardly know we've eaten a meal or whatever it is. So I'm calling us all in this month to truly, truly make an endeavor to be good partners. And I'm not saying stewards anymore, because stewardship has a kind of a lording over a little bit, not so much as kingship, but stewardship, yes. You know, I'm the boss of you kind of thing. But a partner, not so. We're on equal pegging, we're on equal terms with each other. Just remember, we're partners with this world, we're partners with this earth. And God so loved the world that God gave you to the world so that you could indeed make it fruitful and multiply its good, because you can, and so can I. So as uncomfortable as this is, I know all of us are going to be moved today to be on that wagon and to ride that wagon into a better way of life for our children and their children to come, and to nurture and respond to Mother Earth, because we know she can do without us, but we cannot do without her, and so it is.